Hi there, it's Tristan here. I'm based in Cape Town, South Africa. I've been working in VBA for the last 12 years. VBA is basically a coding language that sits in the background of Microsoft Excel and is used to automate Excel. So a lot of the manual sort of procedures that one would normally do manually, one can then automate using buttons and drop-down lists and sort of normal application type tools. So with using VBA in the background of Excel, you can actually automate existing Excel systems that companies are already using, or workbooks. That again saves a lot of sort of manual time in terms of copying and moving and calculating and all that kind of thing. With VBA you can also create fully custom software systems. An advantage of using VBA is that the code sits right in the back of the actual workbook, the Excel workbook. So it's a standard Excel workbook with VBA code in the background. So you don't need any special software to be installed or anything. It just runs straight off Microsoft Excel. Another advantage is you can actually go into the back of the document and edit the code and make changes at any stage, any time. And you don't need to re-export it and reinstall things or anything like that. You're also able to change the code, or should I say anyone's able to change the code that has the knowledge or has VBA knowledge. So you're not locked into a certain developer or anything like that. I found a lot of customers also have liked the whole Microsoft Excel VBA system because they're able to copy information in and out of it easily. So if they ever upgrade or change systems or something, they're actually able to get their data out of the system easily, whereas often with the sort of more proprietary software systems, you can maybe export your data, but then it's in some layout that you can't really use very easily. So it's just very user-friendly, and again, Microsoft Excel ties in with a lot of other programs, so you're able to import data and export data a lot easier and share information on that level. Microsoft Excel is already a very powerful system and has a lot of features and things that are used by companies and businesses. So by using VBA, you're able to automate all of those features that are already there. So it just adds to the power of an already powerful system. Whereas, again, if you were to create some proprietary system through some other software development system, you'd probably need to create a lot of those tools like graphs and like pivot tables and all that. Whereas with Excel, all those tools are there, so it's just a case of automating. And then also with VBA, you're able to then through Excel, should I say, you're able to get information to be copied from one workbook to another and stuff like that, and open different workbooks. Also able to create, or should I say, open up a Word document and copy information into Word document templates or something to create reports or invoices or whatever. So there's a lot of interconnectivity that happens with Excel, and again with the VBA in the background, you're able to automate a lot of that. Cool, I'd just like to show you some of the systems that I have done for previous companies before, just to give you a bit of an idea of what is possible. This is a system I designed for a company that hires out event equipment to events and stuff, like tables and chairs and fridges and banners and bars and trailers and things like that. So the main thing was to be able to track against the stock they have, what items are being rented out when, and then in terms of availability, what will be available over a certain date range. So yeah, the other thing was the system had to run on several different computers and use a central database. So this Excel sheet is literally just an interface, and all the data is kept in a central access database on a server. Security was also an issue, and then also in terms of tracking who booked what events or changed what items for which events. So the users had to log in through this drop down box. So if I just log in here quickly, there we are. So now you can see these sheets have become available at the bottom there because we've logged in. If we go to the availability sheet, this is basically the main interface sheet where you check for bookings, you load bookings, you create new bookings, you update bookings. So yeah, it's got an event ID. All the event information is filled in over here. When the event's going to be happening, so when it's collected and delivered and all of that. This is then the main search interface, so you're able to check or search for items depending on kind of what you're wanting to search for in terms of availability. So you can type in things manually, or you can select entire things, or you can leave things blank and it'll find anything in that field. And this is just how the user, or should I say the customer, wanted to organize it. So you put in your 2 date ranges, you go search, and then basically what it does is it goes through the stock calendar here, obviously all in VBA code. It sees how many items are available and in good condition, in other words, that can be hired out. Then it goes through the booking calendar. There's no data in here at the moment because it's all been shifted to the archive calendar because I haven't used this in a while. So it goes through here and then works out basically what items are available and active versus how many have been booked out for this event. So here you can update or add 2 different items or any of that. And yeah, then finally the items booked for that event will be listed here, and from here you can remove items, you can cancel the entire booking, or you can print out a picking sheet or a delivery sheet. And both of these basically open up a Word document template and then fill all the event information here as well as the actual items booked into that Word document, so you can print it out, and then that's something they use as a reference. So yeah, over here is basically then again the list of all the items available in stock that they have available to hire, should I say. That's then a listing of all the bookings. So this kind of stuff is background information. You don't really use that. But if you want to go in and update items or change the stock or check the stock or anything, you can do it straight through this. Then the last sheet here is the usage reports, and these are reports that the user wanted themselves in terms of being able to work out what was used over a certain period and all of that kind of stuff. Just trying to think of equipment usage, all get data, go through archive. So that's the old booking information. If we say yes, we should get some information there. Are you sure you're switch to current? No. Okay, so there we are. And this is then a breakdown in this type of report layout. This system was put together for a company that does remote projects throughout Africa, and the employees on these different projects needed to log their time they were spending on different projects, and whether it was during the week or during weekends or public holidays, and whether it was hours or days they were working on a certain project, as well as which assets were used out on those projects and what materials were used, etc. And then this information needed to be sent back to the central office. The challenge being that internet is often very unreliable in remote parts of Africa, and so information needed to be kept very small so that it could be sent via a satellite phone. So this is an example of on the employees side where they'd fill in an example sheet of the time they'd been used. So they select a date, a year, and the way this company worked is they paid bi-monthly. So there'd be the first half of the month or the second half of the month, and you select the employee name. You create timesheet, for example. We'll clear it out, and so it fills it in, and those are the date ranges of that period. The red is all public holidays, and then in here they'll go in with these drop-down boxes and select the jobs they were working on, the client codes, all this kind of information, where they were, and then mark. So, yeah, and then this sheet was then exported, when you go back to the sheet there, you can go export timesheet. That then creates its own export, which can then be emailed. So it's basically a way of filling in a timesheet, but with the information that's available in terms of what all these names come from a single file of settings and stuff like that, and what projects are active, and what all that kind of information. And the same happens with the assets. So if I show you a result, this is then an example of the assets that are used for that same period, or not for a period. So there are files like this that are then sent back to the Cape Town office. Then once those files have all been sent in from the different employees throughout the continent, here what we're able to do is select that month range, again, sorry, the year, the month, and the segment, and generate summary. And what that does is it actually collates, it gets all the sheets from the different employees, pulls it together as one sort of report, and then here you can actually generate the different reports. And again, the different reports being input field time, leave records, field input time, invoice, chargeable. So they're all the different reports that this company specifically was needing. Okay, this is a much simpler system. It's basically it's to keep track of a storage facility where people store equipment or any possessions of theirs. So it's a system just to keep track of what's where and how much space is available and all of that kind of thing. So this is the rough floor plan of the entire building, and then what they've got over here is the different cubes that they put stuff in these different locations, and every location, as you'll see here, has got 4 levels to it. So you can see every level here is free, so that this entire plan is empty at the moment. But say we wanted to put an item over there, we say add, we type in, that's the cube location, the height of the cube, so it's on the ground level, the first level. So we go H3 customer, for example. Let's just leave it at that for now. This is when it was added. The data was removed. It hasn't been removed yet. We're just adding it. So we go OK. And now you will see there's H3. So if we close this, it'll now go orange. Sorry. If we look over here, we've got a little key. All levels available. Some levels available. No levels available. So if we click back on there, we'll come up with that customer there. We can then add another level to level 4, for example. So we say H3 customer, okay, and now you see that it's got an entry as well. So if we click on that, again it'll pop up with that same thing with the 2 entries. Here it'll give us a sort of a summary of what's available, what's used, all of that kind of thing. There you can see total used are 2, total free are that, and total altogether is that. Yeah, so we can also then go to view search details. Here we can search for different criteria of customers or anything like that, and under details we have the actual list of the individuals. So this is a sheet you won't use often. It'll mostly just be searching for customers and looking at the floor plan. Again, here you can also search and things like that. This is a system I put together for a company that puts out recipes every week to be ordered and stuff like that. So it's basically a planning tool in terms of being able to see what recipes have been used over the weeks gone by, to be able to reuse those as well as create new recipes through the same system. It basically tracks the usage and how popular it was, and works out the cost for the rough cost for the recipes. It collates the files into different into the new week sort of recipe layouts and all that kind of thing. So this is basically a browse feature where you can load previous weeks recipes. It gives you the name, it gives you a picture for a more graphical kind of feedback in terms of what the actual recipe was. It'll calculate the price, it'll calculate the popularity, how well it's sold compared to the other recipes of that week. It'll give you some other information, and then over here basically you select which recipes you want to use for the current week you're planning, and then if you go back to the top and you go use recipes, this loads it into a new sheet, into a new layout. And here again you can plan, so these are now the recipes for this new week. It wants to know if you want to load pricing and information, so we'll say yes. So all this information is coming from an Excel spreadsheet which logs the pricing for the individual ingredients and stuff, so it can recalculate it. So basically here you can pull through new recipes that you want to use. If you go here, this is like a detailed breakdown of every recipe that also gets filled in automatically with the system. Over here you can create custom recipes which you can then load back into this system here. You can also type in what recipe you want over there and go update, and it'll pull through all those new recipes. Then basically once you've happy with this layout, or you've got all the pricing more or less right, it all makes sense, you're then able to collate recipes over here, which then opens up a template for it's a template file, and it fills in all these different recipes into that template file, as well as the new recipes created. So it basically copies old files of the old recipes into this template sheet, and any new recipes it'll fill in again, and this information then you will update and correct slightly, but it basically speeds up this whole process. The other field which is of interest is an availability field, which basically has a record of how available products are at what time of the year, or should I say how available ingredients are. So it's quite involved in that way. This is a system I put together for a company that was basically in the retail industry, and they'd give stock out to different outlets on consignment. So basically they needed to keep track on what items they had delivered where, to what shops, and what of those items had been sold, so which items are still on consignment, and how many were collected, and all of that kind of information. So basically I had this main sort of interface where they can select whether it was delivered or whether it was collected, or whether the item was sold. You can select which item it was, you can select the date, how many was sold, which outlet it was sold to, or sold from I should say, any serial numbers or information for warranty stuff, any comments you want to add for that sale, and then I've got an invoice number field over there as well. So if you go add, it'll just basically add it to this sold sheet over here. And then the same happens with stock collected from supplier or customer, and here stock. So basically it's just a system where it reads through, when you loaded it, reads through this information here, loads it into the different drop down boxes over here, and from here you can kind of, as I showed you, enter in information that gets sent to these different sheets here. So either delivered, collected, or sold. And then on the report sheet, as a beginning, this is quite a new system. You're able then to select different reports that you want to generate from this information. So in this case, outstanding consignments, and you can select a date range or everything, and you can select which items you want to search for and where, and the outlets, and generate that kind of a report. So quite a simple system, but again will save them a lot of time in terms of tracking what's where and what's outstanding.